Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. We're going to do our daily uranium technical analysis update. Looks like we have some selling pressure. Remember, we are investors. This is a 5-year plus outlook. And when shares get cheaper, that's when I start getting more interested. So I'm going to take a look at all the charts. I'm going to kind of give you, again, my financial opinion. Don't use it as advice. You guys are responsible for your own trading, investing decisions. But we're going to jump in here. I'm going to give you my opinion. And let's look at the charts. So here we go. This is uranium. Now, looking at the spot price, we are heading lower. Remember, we have resistance support at 40, in that 40-ish area. So we could be coming down. And here's another opinion of mine. Usually what happens is you come on down and you form a pattern of some sort. And we've been pretty early in this pullback. So I think it's going to take some time to develop a pattern and to go off of a basing pattern, so to speak. They just don't fall and then go straight higher again for the most part. So be patient here. This is URNM. This is the ETF. We've come down. We've got bounce number 1, bounce number 2. I think we've got another couple bounces in here. So patience, guys. Everyone be patient. And hopefully we can kind of bounce sideways for the most part. We do have a wick on the bottom of this candle. What happened is we opened, we came down, and then we traded back up. So we could do another bounce, a little bounce higher. And what happens is you kind of come down and you bounce. You create like a base. It bases out, and then we launch higher. But it's still consolidating. And looking at this from a weekly perspective, we could still go lower. It is still in the cards. On a weekly candlestick basis, we have a bearish engulfing pattern, but we have to wait till the end of the week to close to see what this pattern could potentially be. But usually, if you throw a pattern, here's another bearish engulfing, it comes up, and then we pull back still. The bottom rail here, it's not out of question to come back there. We may or may not. I'm just kind of showing this. This is a bearish engulfing pattern that we are throwing at the moment. Here's Camco on the daily coming on up, and we're bouncing back and forth here. Doesn't look too bad of a day. But I think we still have a little bit more time to do the zigging and zagging, if you know what I mean. Next gen, it's doing some zigging and zagging itself, bearish engulfing here, so we headed lower, and I think we're just gonna do a couple more bounces. We're doing the zig and zag or the bounce. We've got fission here. This is a bearish engulfing, which means we could head a little bit lower to sideways to lower is what I'm looking for. This doesn't look ready to launch yet. It seems like it's got to base out a little bit longer. Sky Harbor, a little bit of a sell-off today. It sold off hard and then came back up throughout the day. Again, we're zigging and zagging here. I think we still have to consolidate longer. Canalaska's got, this one's a little bit of a stronger sell-off. Big sell-off here. It kind of went sideways, and then we sold off, and we could head a little bit lower. The volume is tapering down. So I think what's going to happen is we're probably going to develop a pattern. The pattern will probably be contained. Let me see here. And guys, don't use this for, it looks like we're kind of going between these two support levels right there. It's like we're bouncing back and forth between these lines here. And obviously, oops, if I were to extend this way out, that's where you're getting your support from. You're gaining it from this area here, back here, back here. So it's kind of just bouncing back and forth. Here's base load. Again, our support's underneath it, 60 cents or so, but we're probably going to bounce around a little bit. Looking at standard uranium, we've got our trend line that's coming across here. Looks something like that. But this doesn't look too bad, and we could bounce a little bit more. Again, we like rubbing on the support lines. You hit it, kind of rub on a little bit, and then you take off. Fission 3.0 is creating this pattern here. It's coming right to a point. It's probably got a little bit longer to go before we break out of it. UEX CF. This one doesn't look bad. We've got bullish engulfing, bullish piercing. Like it's going to grind sideways and maybe a little bit longer because the rest of the sector's been bumping and grinding. It just needs to bump and grind a little bit longer before moving. Deep yellow, I mean, it looks like we've got support underneath this. We bounced here, came up, and we came and bounced higher again. We've got buyers down here. So I think what we're going to do is kind of bounce around a little bit, moving sideways. And I would say that's probably the case on the majority of these companies. This is Bannerman. Again, I don't see a pattern here where we're going to move higher. I think we're going to bounce sideways for a little bit longer until I see something. Forces Metals, this one's got some good support. I think it looks pretty good. And there's your support, and it bounced off of it today. That's why there's a wick at the bottom here. So it opened up here, it came down, and then came back up above, meaning there's some buyers at this support line. So that looks good. Here's Goviax. Goviax, again, it looks like we need a little bit more time to digest the move before launching. And what I want to see is like a big down movement, and then it comes all the way back up, showing us that we're ready to launch, which is a bullish engulfing or a big hammer pattern. But I haven't seen that yet. And Global Atomic, we had our bearish engulfing. We sold off today. I think we're still going to be bouncing sideways for a little bit longer. We could even head lower here. It's a possibility. And then we got Denison Mines, a little wick at the bottom. I think we've got some good support right where it's at. So, you come all the way back here, draw this thing across, and that's the support that I'm talking about, is all this stuff in here. And be careful. If we break down, we could break down and come back a little bit lower to this support line, somewhere down here. There's another support line down here. I don't know if we're going to get that low. We'll see. Here's UEC. Again, we're just bouncing back and forth sideways. We've got good support where it's at. Obviously, it's not going down. We've got URG here. Again, I still think we're going sideways, maybe even a little bit lower. There's some support underneath here. If we were to draw it, is right here. Probably there. Just that snapped into the support line. $1.42, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. UROY, we're consolidating. It's like we're sitting here, coming back and forth, gonna get the buyers to equal the sellers, find some support, throw a bullish engulfing or bullish piercing pattern, and then launch, or break some sort of pattern. And that's what we did here. So if you look at the last time we consolidated after a big run, is we developed a pattern here where we had our support here, we were bouncing off things, and what we did is we basically created a pattern here, and then broke it and broke out, and now we're probably going to bounce and do something similar to this pattern. And that's why I keep saying we might need a little more consolidation before moving higher. Is because we need to create a pattern to break. And this could be one gigantic pattern where we're in this pattern here. And we're bouncing back and forth, and we very well could come all the way back down and tag it again in this sideways channel before we break and move. Or we could develop like this U-shaped pattern that comes up and then break. It's difficult to say which one it is. And I mean, this one looks like we're just moving in an uptrend here. So that one doesn't look too bad. for international consolidated uranium. Kazatomprom, this could drop a little bit lower off this bearish engulfing pattern on the short term. But this has been in an uptrend. We kind of came back, peaked higher, and then we're just kind of moving sideways, consolidating, waiting for the 50-day to catch up. Your central question, this one could head lower. And what I'm seeing here is a pattern that looks kind of like that. And when you get a pattern that kind of consolidates upward, it has a good chance of breaking to the downside and heading a little bit lower in the short term, possibly. We've got PenMF. It looks like it's trying to find some support here. Again, I think we got to go and consolidate longer. Boss Energy sold off today, but it's finding support underneath it. And I think the support, it's getting to that support region very, very soon here. I think we're going to consolidate sideways. Pure Point. Man, look at this. We come up, we broke that. This is a lower high. I do not want to break below 7 cents. Then we got a lower low. We could be in a downtrend almost, but we'll see where it goes. Here's Blue Sky Uranium, a little bit of a higher high. We're just chopping sideways. More sideways action is probably what I expect. And then Laramide, again, the support underneath it is at 45 cents. And we're just moving sideways right now. Even though we had a large down day today, I wouldn't be too worried about it. But that's what I got for the day. I think we're still consolidating. So think of moves that go up and down sideways. And we had a massive move upward. It was a financial type driven move. More or less, it could have been, quote, a pump and dump, so to speak. They're not really dumping it, but they pumped it up. And in order for this to be sustaining, you have to continually pump money in indefinitely. The way that you're going to get this to be a sustaining move, and why I'm invested in the sector, is because of the supply and demand fundamentals. The financing side, in my opinion, isn't going to drive this. It's going to chase it and make it worse. So what happens is we got some money kind of flooded in a little bit. And now that money is getting bored. It's saying it's not going anywhere. And a lot of retail investors, especially, are very short-term oriented. So they see squirrel, they see it run by, they put their attention to it. Oh, look at that squirrel, it's running. And then they forget about the thing of why they invested in the uranium sector. The uranium sector, underneath, don't look at the prices. Underneath all this is this structural problem that's developing. And it's a massive structural problem. The structural problem is occurring. It first started in natural gas a few years ago. It happened in Asia. It's spreading across the world. And what's going to happen, in my opinion, and this isn't fact, it's just my opinion, is that we're going to have problems in natural gas. It's going to spread to coal, which it already has. It's going to spread to oil. And then it's going to spread to everything that's electricity driven. And it's going to drive the cost of everything higher. And people are going to look for solutions. We already have a structural deficit in uranium. The supply demand is in a structural deficit. Buyers are going to come in here and they're going to buy up all the uranium inventory. That inventory is going to get to exceedingly low levels and drive prices higher, just like the real estate market. It's the same thing. Inventory is going to dry up, prices are going to rocket higher, and then they're going to look at production. But it takes a long time to get production on, to bring it online. Once we hit these deficits, we're going to bring on production. There are some maybe a year or 2 years out. We'll start bringing that on, and then it's going to exceed that production. Then we got to bring on more stuff, and the time frames are going to get longer and longer. And this is all happening during an energy crisis all around us. So we're going to get a very large structural deficit that comes underneath this market, and it's going to support a large move higher. And then you're going to get the finance people and the retail sector, the ones that are chasing squirrels all around. Yeah, those guys. They're going to all come, and they're going to pile into the sector on top of it. So I don't think they're going to drive the market. I think the market supply demand fundamentals are going to drive it, and inflation's going to drive it. The energy crisis is going to make it worse, and then you're going to get the momentum guys coming into the financial types, coming in, rushing in, and chasing momentum. And it's going to continue to blow to the upside. So what I hope happens is that we do come under pressure. We fall down. We get some really good buying opportunities, and then we rocket from there. That's what I hope happens. But it doesn't matter what I hope. It's whatever the market gives us. That's what it's going to give us. So we've got good fundamentals. It's all underneath this market. Now it's just a matter of time. And are we going to get another really good buying opportunity? We'll find out. But uranium is still an excellent value, has a ton of potential in front of it, and I think is one of my favorite sectors to be invested in, and hopefully to put more investment in because of the valuations and the upside potential that it could potentially have in the future. If you guys like this content, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and thank you for listening. This is Finding Value.